Y'all are the ones responsible for it.
Technically.
Let's do this thing.
All right, let's do this thing. So on that note, unless there's anything else.
We'll see. We'll see. So hopefully my computer
will
got
lower
that.
the bridge and raise the gate because it is time to enter the keep. Dun dun dun. All right. When last we left our heroes, the 11th hour was preparing to leave town to confront the Underlord about the third journal that has been lost on this world. They undertook preparations, each in their own way, to ready themselves for the journey ahead. Siljax and Val bought some supplies at the Golden Fox and visited their respective temples. Siljax found the Temple of Bahamut barren, vacated completely, and Val went to the temples of the Traveler and Sayanine in search of answers. And I'm pretty sure he left with more questions than he had in the first place. Kazator and Doran purchased some supplies and then went to the Temple of Moradin to attempt to craft new items to arm themselves if this encounter with the Underlord turns out to be a fight. They work late into the night, and as they finish their tasks, they pack up, they prepare to leave. Doran is stopped by another dwarf who's been working in the forge and recognized the runic system that Doran uses to put his family's mark on all of his creations. This dwarf gifts Doran with a rubric of some sort of arcane rune, and then they head back to gather with everyone back at the Beggar's Banquet. They regather late in the evening, and Halberd arms these devices with the poison he has been crafting specifically to target the eyes of whatever they are shot at. So we'll see how that works out.
Stinky doo-doo.
We will go ahead and pick up late that evening. Val, you had been sending to Rissa.
Yes, I did. I wrote it down because I forget things.
We'll go ahead and we'll deal with that real quick. So if you can find that, that would be good.
I can.
Get my axe.
All right, so I have all my spells slots because today was. I was gonna say the day was boring, but not really. The day lacked combat. So, spell number one. Sending message number one that was sent to Rissa. We are ready to make our trip to retrieve the third journal. After that, we'll have one more to go. Has there been any update on our missing keepers?
You feel the spell connect, and she responds, I was slightly concerned not to hear from you last night. We have no word yet on Tyrek, but we have good news about Liren.
That's it?
That's 25 words.
Crap! All right, I'll use sending number two. Sorry for the delay. We were attacked. No losses on our side. What news on their end?
We have located her. We are mounting an assault tomorrow night on her location in an attempt to retrieve her. Are you available to assist?
Crap. Yeah. All right, spending spell number three.
Side quest.
Right.
Redirection.
That's great news. Unfortunately, the journal we are after will take some time to retrieve, as it's in the hands of a beholder. still have the fourth to recover. Good luck.
Don't die.
She would have got the don't part of that. I had one word left.
Right. You truly cannot offer any aid. The Ebonrath holds her imprisoned on a world called Chrysora. I can come and retrieve you and your friends.
All right. Do I have any idea where that is? Is that ringing any bells? Ebonrath, any of it?
Side.
The Ebonrath is entirely new to you. No context for that. Make a history check. See if you remember Chrysora.
Oh, you said history. 16.
It's vaguely familiar, but you can't place from where. You don't think it's one that your Sanctum has had strong ties to, but you're not sure. It's just hard to, you can't remember here in the moment.
All right, I'll use another sending spell. The journals are opening rifts to this world, and I would hate to see them fall into the hands of our attackers. Who is the Ebonrath?
The Ebonrath is the general who captured and has been holding Rissa for this time.
Well, crap.
Hold
That
it.
it?
Listen or
They're
Gotcha.
holding Lyran, right?
Did I say Rissa?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Lyran.
about to say,
That's
we
a
have a whole bunch of
Lyran.
problems, y'all.
Hey, Krista
I
just slipped up.
I'm counting, and I can't even keep the accent up while I'm counting. It's hard work, y'all.
Who? This is my last sending spell. Crap. How many do you have to help you? They may have to be enough. We can't let these journals fall into enemy hands. There's an armadillo staring at me through the window. It's just like, that's weird.
Roll for initiative.
Texas bullets.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We number 7, apart from myself. I don't need you to educate me on the dangers facing us, but finding Lyran is a priority.
Well, that's all I got, so...
Call you in the morning.
Right? Hey, you know, if you had a cleric who had sending, we could keep up this conversation. Oh wait, you let her get captured. All right. I'll convey gist of the messages to our party.
I'm guessing you do that the next morning.
What?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to. Unless you need to talk louder, I can barely hear you.
I know, I'm practically yelling.
All right. So y'all go to bed. It's already late. It's close to midnight by the time y'all go to sleep. Solyax, who's in the room with you? It's you and
Val and Doran.
Yeah,
you and
I think
Velcor. What are y'all's passive perceptions?
18. Mine's
10.
18.
You said?
Mm.
Doran, what was yours?
A big fat 10.
10. And Solyax, what's your passive perception?
His passive perception is 12.
Mm-hmm.
12. Okay. Val?
Me?
Yes. In the wee hours of the morning, you hear something shift in the room. You're not quite sure what disturbs your sleep, but there's a soft, almost click.
Okay, so apparently we established in the last episode that Val is a side sleeper. Do I get a sense of where in the room it's coming from?
It sounded very much as though the door had just silently swung open and then softly closed.
I open my eyes.
You see a shape in the room moving towards Solyax and where he is asleep.
I'm getting real tired of this.
I cast Hold Person.
All right, that is, what's the DC for that?
Baron.
I'm getting real tired of this.
That is...
Go leave this world and go somewhere else. It'll murder us at every turn.
No
Make
such
new
world exists.
I know. Let's go somewhere and make new enemies.
16, wisdom saving throw.
16. All right. The shape freezes. It is very dark in here. You cannot see anything more than a humanoid shape that is now frozen.
I will let out a loud whistle to wake everybody up. At least the ones in my room.
Okay. I will wake up.
And your full naked self.
100%. And then I'll cast light.
As you cast light, you see the shape of the innkeeper's son, Varlin, who has come and is moving towards you. His hand is out as though to start shaking you awake. His eyes are really big, but almost like he's trying to squint them and can't because his body is being held.
What is going on? Val, did you do this?
Can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah, I can't hear what you're saying.
Hello? Hello?
There you go.
Hey.
Oh.
Val,
Yes.
did you do this? What's going on?
I have him held. I heard a click. And
Well, I believe you can release him now.
I'll be sure.
Yes.
I'll
Axe.
drop Whole Person.
All right. You drop whole person. There's a sort of sag to his body, and his eyes are starting to well up. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was sent. You have a visitor. She's asking for you. She needs your help.
It's far more useful to
Wake you.
knock when going into a room than to attempt to sneak in. You're lucky you're still alive. Some people tend to be trigger happy.
Are you coming or not? She says
I
she
will be down in a moment. Let them know. Who is it?
She didn't give me her name.
Okay, a
dark
description,
hair,
child.
a woman, older than me, younger than my dad. Dark hair. It's got in braids.
Does that ring any type of bell for me?
You have met and encountered multiple women with dark hair in a variety of hairstyles over the last couple of days in this town.
Listen, I'm not Casator, okay? I'll inform her I'll be down in a moment.
I'll let you know. And he sort of walks backwards quickly towards the door and finds it with his hand and then opens it up and ducks out as quickly as he can.
All right, then.
The way to wake up in the morning.
Exactly. Well, I guess I'll go see what this is about.
You want some company?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't want to interrupt your sleep. We'll see what's up.
Shall we get dressed first?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to spend the 10 minutes it takes to put on my armor, but I'll,
Fantasy
put on.
footy pajamas.
Exactly. I will put on my fancy footy pajamas,
Yeah.
complete with butt flap.
Well, you got a tail, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got a tail. Got to get
All right,
something.
so who else going up? Who's
I
going
will go with him.
Yeah.
All three of y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all head upstairs.
Why not? They woke me up.
You'll head upstairs, and the sort of tavern area is lowly. There's one torch that is burning. Most of the tables and chairs have been wiped down and put away for the evening, but there is one table that is set up with two chairs at it, and one of those chairs is occupied with this woman's form. And as you approach, you start getting close enough to start making out details, and you recognize the form of Kahir. She looks up at you, and before you can even say anything, as you start to approach, she says, "Tell me the truth now. Did you kill them or not?"
All of them, no. However, a few did
You
fall.
swear they were alive. You swear some of them were alive when you left them. On whatever you hold holy, swear to me now that this is the truth.
Some of them did escape. As far as my knowledge is, not all of those that traveled with you were slain in our fight.
Roll a persuasion check.
Ooh. Good thing I'm good at that. 17?
17. All right.
Still pretty.
You get close enough now to see that she looks wrecked. There are salt marks down her face. There is dirt under her nails. And as you get closer, you can see it's not just dirt, but it is dried blood also. I don't know why I believe you. I don't know why I trust you. I can't trust a thing you say, but if you tell me true, if you did not do this thing, then it can only be those who hired us that did not like our failure.
Where have you been this past day? What has happened?
She looks up at you with big eyes, and you see more tears welling and just pouring down her face. I have been burying my family.
All of them.
To a man. They did not make it to our rendezvous point. I found their bodies but a few streets from where we had our battle.
That was not our group. I'm not sure who it was, but it was not us. We were busy running for our lives at that moment.
If you don't mind me asking, how long ago did you find them?
Early, the dark hours yesterday. The streets were quiet. I took them. I buried my family. Your foes have become mine. I can think of no other who would execute such an attack against us. But as punishment for our failure, you say this brotherhood, those who wear this 5-pointed star, You say they are after you.
Yes.
Then tell me how I may aid your fight against them.
There are a few ways, but why would they leave you alive?
I was not there
We had her
I
at the
was
time when the
held.
onslaught happened.
and unable to protect them.
Yes, but from what I've said, what I've sensed, they may not stop knowing that you are alive.
No, I would imagine that their agents are after you now. They don't like leaving loose ends, and unfortunately for you, you appear to be one. Now, you obviously have an ability to move without being detected, and that may be your greatest boon in this moment.
You talk of protecting me and you talk of my safety, and I care not for these things. Give me a task or I will go find one for myself.
You have to make sure that you are protected, or else you cannot do anything. Yes, you could rush in on some task, but your death would not solve anything. So your safety and your protection are necessary, and you should strive to ensure those things for yourself. A dead man cannot avenge his family.
That being said, I might have an idea for you, but we need to discuss this with the other members of our group. So yeah, should we wait Halbert and Casaton?
What is your idea?
I spoke with Rissa late last night, and they found Lyra, and they are in need of aid. They are mounting an assault this evening to rescue her. They requested our aid, but I don't know if we can sidetrack at this point from our current goal. Rissa seems to think this rescuing Lyran takes priority, but I wanted to speak with all of us first and see how we all felt about this. If we don't go, it might, right now she has 7 of our comrades helping her. My thought was Rissa has the ability to come and get us. So if we cannot go, if we cannot turn from our current task, maybe we could send someone who has skills, especially those in stealth and espionage, and has no ties back to this world.
Well, I cannot speak for Yuka here, but what he's talking about is we are a part of a group that travels across worlds. This is one, and one of our leaders is being held on another world by the same organization, this Brotherhood. Now, it's the same organization, but it will not necessarily be the same people that did this to your family. If you seek vengeance for your family, then we could set you to task here in this town to seek vengeance on those who were directly related. But if you wish to strike more at the heart of the organization and not just its individuals, then the task which Val has suggested would be perhaps better suited. So I suppose the true question lies in you as to whether you wish to attack the organization or the individuals responsible.
I do not know the individuals responsible. I do not know how to tell them apart from any other. If you truly strike at the heart of this organization, at their leadership or at their core, that will do.
And the task with which Val has suggested is one that you would be well suited for. And perhaps with this organization that we serve, you may find new purpose. It's taken a many individual out of unfortunate circumstances and giving them a greater purpose and a place to live. So, get you away from all that which reminds you of hurt, and yet still allow you to succeed in the task with which you are set forth on.
Solix, go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
Okay.
I like how Loki's
Okay.
giving us another ally, and we're just like, cool, go over here away from us.
Right.
14.
Not rolling good today.
Silly. Excuse me, I meant to say solid. Man, there's a fly in here, and it is really giving me some agita. Get out of here. Get off my cup.
I will do as you suggest. We shall be allies for this fight. And perhaps in the future as well.
In that case, then, Val, can you reach out to Rissa and inform her that, while we ourselves cannot leave, we have a new ally who might aid in this fight.
I'll step away and use sending again.
Do you have any spell slots left for sending?
It's the next morning, I would hope so.
It's like 4 in the morning. You have
Oh.
gotten 4, maybe 5 hours of sleep. You have
We
not
had a
completed full
short
yet.
rest.
All right, then I'll wait. I'll go back to sleep until we do that. Until we get the finish the long rest.
In the morning, we will send word and help. Right now, I think it may be best if you try to get what little rest you can. I know a restless mind makes it difficult to find sleep, but an exhausted person can be their own worst enemy. With sleep comes a fresh mind, and that will aid you greatly in the trials ahead.
As you talk, Solix, there's a sort of stiffening and her gaze turns a little bit into a glare, like she resents the instructions that you're giving her. You rest in your way, and I will rest in mine. We will both do as we see appropriate.
Very well. If you'll meet us here in the morning, we will do what we can then.
What hour?
I don't know how much longer do we need for a long rest, Lauren.
Another 4 hours or so at least. So you'll be waking up between 8 and 9.
Meet us here a little after 8. We will go from there.
She nods. I will see you then in the morning.
In the morning, then.
And she turns and she heads on out. You see Varlin, who had been staying off to the side and sort of in the shadows, moves to close the door behind her and relock it and finish shutting everything down for the evening. I'm to blow out the torch and put everything away. If it please you, sirs, if you're done with your conversating.
We can find our way back, thank you.
He sort of nods and waits for y'all to head back down to your room. And as you head away, you hear him wiping things down and moving things around. And then the pathway goes dark behind you as the torch is extinguished.
On our way down, I will stop at Halberd and Casador's room,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll knock on their door. Halbert, are you awake?
Yes, I do believe I am.
Have you succeeded in your 4 hours that you require each night, or no?
Yeah, I feel rather rested right now.
Well, we just had a meeting with Kahir. She apparently, those of her family were killed by the Brotherhood, and she seeks vengeance. Val knows, in talking with Rissa, of a assault that is being led against the Brotherhood in an attempt to free Lirin, and she has agreed to join that assault. So she said that she would come back here tomorrow morning, and Val will reach out to Rissa to come pick her up. If you would not mind waiting in the lobby area, so just in case we happen to sleep a little longer than intended, she is not left waiting.
I can do that. But you say there's an attempt to go get Lirin back.
There is. They're attempting it, I believe, tomorrow. She requested our aid, but
She has the ability to get us there.
that's what Val said. In the morning, he was going to speak to all of us and see if we wish to pursue that or if we wanted to continue on our current path. There are forces headed to get to Lirin, and personally, I'd rather stay the course that we're on now, but let you think on that, and in the morning we can discuss it further if needed.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss it further. Go get some rest, friend. I've got to watch.
Sounds good. We'll see you in the morning. And I'll go back to sleep.
All right. The rest of the night passes quietly. Y'all can finally take your long rest bonus, get your spell slots back. As you are preparing for the next morning, Kazator,
Yes.
you hear a knock on your door.
I will go and open it.
All right. You see before you the innkeeper's son, Varlin,
Okay.
and he is holding in his hands 2 pieces of paper. He sort of looks up at you and says, I'm sent to bid to give this one to you and this to your dwarf friend who's traveling with you. Do you want them now? Shall I give them to you, or shall I go find him?
I can take them both. I will get his letter to him. Thank you.
You're welcome. And as you look at this letter, and it's about 8 in the morning as you're waking up and as this knock comes on your door, you look at it and you don't recognize the handwriting, but it is addressed to you. The larger roll of parchment. It is set on top of a journal bound in cream leather. Nothing otherwise notable about the cover, except the majority of the pages have appeared to be carefully cut, leaving just a few within. The 2 parchment letters are folded. Yours is on top and Doran is right underneath it and sitting on the journal that's been handed to you.
Okay. I'll open Doran's for no. I'll open my letter and read it, I guess.
All right. You go ahead and you read it, and it is from Rye, and this is what it says.
Kazator, darling, I am most apologetic for parting ways in this manner. I'd hoped to journey with you longer, but I cannot delay anymore. I'm quite overdue at Bribery and have yet to obtain my final acquisition. But as we're both sojourners, I should think our paths will cross again in the future. I have left for you these last few pages of my journal for correspondence and study. As he collects information on Bondera, Kolya, or House Veritas, he will write to you. Should space allow, you can use it for further inquiry insofar as your own needs or that of your sanctum. My cousin is indeed steadfast, so be assured he will answer if you contact him. I cannot promise you as to the Library proper's response if you should call on them for aid. Only that study will live up to his name and bring it promptly to the council. I have included for Doran the rubric for expeditious retreat to be used on a pair of boots or greaves as he so chooses. I would ask him to focus on the expeditious component of the title. I don't expect anyone in this group to understand the concept of retreat, and know it should help in getting him where he likes a little faster. If you, Kazator, would be so kind as to assist in this matter, once Doran has selected the appropriate item. Please let Halberd know I will attempt to sweet talk one of our librarians to look into fancy elven runes. Ashland is so frequently bored. I do think he would find military runic traditions among elven possible worlds a fascinating diversion. And if not him, his assistants are very impressionable, to say the least. Should something relevant come of it, I will endeavor to bring it to Halberd's attention. Alas, I will not be there to check Celiex's ego or Val's questionable competence, but as your party has managed so far, I do believe you can be successful, even with such deficiencies. A last piece of advice for you to take as you will. Be not deceived by clever words or clever magics. Be well, Sproutlings. Senior Associate Acquisitions Librarian, Rye Excellence.
That was great.
Okay, so with it, I have the book to communicate, and then she said the other one is the rubric for that spell, which means Doran will pick an item, and then I will help him enchant it with that spell.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like half
so-
of it here, what it even was.
Is the scroll, is this, the other one, is it to give to Doran, or is it just that rubric to help Doran with?
It is, the other sheet of parchment is rolled up and labeled with Doran's name.
Okay.
Rye
Cool.
said that it was the rubric for Expeditious Retreat, but you haven't seen it to confirm.
Okay, sure. Cool. Well, I will, I suppose I will go find the group.
All right, you go ahead and you take the letters in the journal with you.
Yes.
Okay. You head on up to breakfast. You're actually one of the first ones there. Halberd has beaten you up there. You noticed when you woken up that he wasn't in the room with you, but that's not that uncommon, so it didn't really surprise you at all. It's about 8:15, 8:20 at this time. It is mostly deserted. There is Halberd, who is sitting at one table. There is a figure sort of sitting in the shadows. They've got a hood up and they're a little hard to see, but they're just sitting leaning against a wall. And then there are a couple other people, guests of the inn, who are tucking into their breakfast.
Yeah, I will go sit with Albert.
All right, you go sit with Halberd. Anything you'll want to discuss while you're waiting for your fellows to come on up?
Did you sleep well?
I did, and you?
Yeah, a little bit. It was good. But I do believe there are pressing matters today.
Indeed.
We had a visitor, I heard last night. Selich will inform more with the Kahir, but there's also an opportunity to go get Liren back.
Those are
What I
both
understand.
intriguing. What did Kahir want?
I'm not entirely sure, but I hope to find out more soon.
And what of Liren? Do they know where she is or who has her?
What little I understand, Liren her location is known, and there's a group going to try to rescue her, but I don't know much other than that. It's been a long 4 hours waiting for the company to awaken.
It sounds like it'll be interesting to see what the others have to say.
Not too terribly long later, about another 20, 30 minutes, and the others start emerging and coming up for breakfast.
Question.
Yes.
Cloaked figure that you mentioned when Castro came out, I'm guessing I would have noticed everyone come in. Was there anything that stood out about any of the figures?
This figure was actually seated in the corner from the time you came up. Seated deep in the darkness, in the shadows. Never actually saw them move. They look almost as though they're sleeping, but you haven't heard anything or seen any movement from that corner.
That's not concerning at all.
So in the 4 hours that I've been sitting there, seeing as they're the only other thing in the room, I'm guessing I would have probably spent a lot of time paying attention to them.
Possibly. They're not the only ones in the room. Like I said, there are other guests in the inn who've been coming upstairs and emerging from their rooms for breakfast and for various things. You've seen Soren and Varlin moving around and preparing the place for the day. But this particular figure has just been sitting still and quiet, hooded in the shadows.
I'm watching. That's my job.
Mm-hmm. As you've been watching, you have not seen any movement or any anything alarming. But everybody else has come on up for breakfast now. The innkeeper, Soren, tall man, sort of beefy, muscular arms, brings your food out and he says, anything else I can be doing for you, sirs?
Oh, yeah.
I'm all good.
You
I believe that's fine.
And he gives a little bow of his head and enjoy your breakfast.
Kahir's not here yet, right?
You don't see her.
Okay. And considering Hal's been down here for 4 hours, I would imagine he would have told me if she had showed up or something. Well, before she shows up here, suppose we should discuss about that which we have ahead of us. I know the original plan for the day was to head off towards the Underlord. But as we have now learned, that plan may be able to be changed. Val, you have details?
So speaking with Grissom last night, she requested our aid for the retrieval. They've located Liren, but they would like our aid in retrieving her. Rissa said that she has a way to come get us and take us to the world where Liren is. Unfortunately, I don't know much about it, but when I told her when I asked her how many of our comrades that she had helping her, she said there were only 7. So I'm not entirely sure how much more how much of a difference the 5 of us can make. However, if we decide to stay our course with going after the Underlord and retrieving the journals, to be honest, that would be my preference. Then I would like to send Kahir to aid them. She has talent in stealth and espionage and things, skills that I believe would aid Rissa in their attempt to free Liren.
We could always split the party.
I'd like to look around, see if Kahir's inside, sneak-wise.
Make a perception check.
20? That's Modified.
What was that?
Modified 20.
Okay.
Ew.
As you're looking around, you don't see her off the top of your head. Your eyes sort of keep coming back to this hooded figure, and it's unusual because they are almost artistically using the shadows to hide themselves or disguise any portion of their bodies. You do notice there seems to be a familiar ring on the hand.
Yes.
I'm gonna wave, just motion over, see
Right.
if they respond.
There's a sort of nod, and they pull the hood off, and you see Kahira, but it's not like how you'd expect it, because the figure before you is a very obviously masculine form. The shape of the body, the set of the shoulders, the angle of the jaw, but somehow the features are still familiar to you. The hairstyle is still the same. The ring is still the same. They come over, he comes over at your beckon. You have a task for me?
All right, just out of curiosity,
Yes.
is in our, and I know in our travels with the group we haven't come across this, but in Val's previous travels, has he seen this trick before?
Not in Val's travels, but
Okay.
long ago in his childhood, on his home world, he was familiar with a species of people who could change their shape, who could change their form. Same person, different faces, essentially.
Nice. Well, this is new.
Is this still Kahir?
Just because I wear a different face does not make me any less or any different. You have a task for me. What is it?
Be sure. Val, have you contacted Rissa and let her know of our need for a pickup?
So,
Not yet. I wanted to have one last conversation with Kahir before we made that. John, you look like you needed to say something.
I'm just curious from my perspective. I'm guessing this is something very new to Halberd. You could correct me on that based on my travels. But I'm trying to figure out, would I actually trust this person, or would this be something that would be absolutely different? Especially considering a world where everyone wears masks.
So a lot of people don't currently like us.
That's a fair question.
Tell you what, make an insight check.
E. It's going to be a 14.
14. While this is not something you've encountered before, you have seen other people wear different faces at the same time. Rai herself may have her elven face or her tiefling face on, depending on her charm. You've seen this with Torian and a number of his group also. The concept of sort of having a different face but being the same person isn't necessarily new. The fact that so many features remain the same, that there's a recognizable similarity, even keeping to the same race, is is slightly different from what you've seen before, but this sort of aspect of multiple forms or multiple faces because of various magics or anything like that is not new. It's still the body language, the way they hold themselves, the words that they choose to use, all of that tells you it's the same person, but there's just a slight difference, a slight alteration in form. This is Kahir. However much you choose to trust Kahir, this is the same individual.
That is the question, isn't it? I'd heard tell of, on my homeworld, of a race of individuals who had this ability. I'd never seen it for myself. It is rather interesting. But I do want to ask you, before we send you into danger, is this what you want? Are you willing to see this through?
I will enact anything to take my vengeance upon these foes. There is nothing I will not do. If this will give me vengeance, then yes, this is what I want.
Do I believe him?
Make an insight check.
Sorry, I have to add the things. Oh, that's a good one. 24.
24. You look him over, and you got a pretty good feel for Kahir, being able to tell, especially in a high-stakes emotional and encounter, I guess, conversation. The tells are all the same. It seems very clear that that Kahir is very invested in this. Their eyes are intent and focused and clear that this is they're being entirely honest. There is nothing that Kahir won't do to find their vengeance for their lost family.
Vengeance is something I can understand. I'll contact Rissa, and I will send him.
Hold on.
Now, just before you do that,
Unilateral decisions.
we need to make a decision amongst us now.
Hey, what are we doing?
Do we continue on the course that we had set, or do we move? I will say, for me, personally, I would like to see this Underlord taken care of, if for no other reason, simply because this is my home. I understand the hunt for Rissa is important, but to me, my home is still my priority.
One thing I'm noticing, though, is that the Underlord is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. That's just an observation thrown out there. Because I'm with you. We need to deal with him. Or it, or whatever.
My concern is, knowing our tendency for getting sidetracked, is if we leave now, we may never return.
Aye.
I would be curious if Rissa can get us out. Can she get us back? Because for me, at least part of this has all been, if we can recover the books for the Sanctum, then we might be able to get to the people who've been lost by the Saint. And Liren is one of them. And so right now we have an opportunity to go get one of them back. And if we can get her and get back here to get the books, I think we should take that.
that would be extra. There would be more allies for our cause in total.
Well, this is true. The concern that I have is that every minute these books remain out of our care, they are potentially being used by our enemies.
Not even a potential. It's also, we've seen them open up portals. And again, to be honest,
That was about to be my next point.
if this was not my homeworld, I would not care so deeply, but I feel responsible for this. And
Well,
portals to strange places being opened up is something I feel like I need to deal with.
if it's a 3-day journey to the Underlord's lair, right?
Yes.
How fast could we go if Rissa were to get us? We were to try to free Lyrin and have her drop us off right outside at the Underlord's lair. Would that save time? Would that be a possibility if she's even able to? Because if we can't come back, that puts more urgency on our quest.
Well, what if we do this? We have Val send his message. And if she, in that, ask her if she will be the one coming. If she comes here physically to retrieve Kahir, then we can ask her these questions in person. Can she take us all and then get us back here? And more importantly, could she get us at the doorstep of the Underlord's lair? If we, instead of spending these 3 days traveling, spend these 3 days saving Lyrin, we won't have lost any time and, in fact, be more useful. So if she comes in person, we can ask her these things. Now, I'm definitely of the opinion that if she cannot bring us back here, I do not want to leave with unfinished business here.
I would have to concur with that.
So I guess this...
What is your reasoning for sending Kahir to help find Lyrin? What interest interest is that in the revenge that Kahir is seeking?
Well, Kahir, if I may, her fight now is against the Brotherhood, and the Brotherhood, the organization.
Kahir kind of interrupts. You're correct, but in this form I am not she. Please do call me as you will, according to my appearance.
Right. My apologies. His fight is with the Brotherhood. We have been informed that the Brotherhood exists more than just here. That they are perhaps the leading reason that for the assault, and that their leaders are the ones holding. I believe Val, you mentioned a general is who's holding Lyrin.
That is correct.
And so Kahir has agreed to aid in the dealing of a blow against the organization. In the rescuing of Lyrin, there's a plan to also possibly take out this Brotherhood general.
Lauren.
Yes.
Because Casator didn't hear the message that came into Val, obviously, but there was a group that was mentioned that you said he didn't know anything about. Do we know that this has any connection to the Brotherhood? Did I miss something?
The Ebonrath, is that what you're talking about? That
Yes.
Val didn't know anything about?
Right. We know that she's being held by that. There was nothing that Val was told had any connection to the Brotherhood as far as we know. Is that right?
Val, you want to take this one? Because that's your leap of logic.
I mean, essentially. How to phrase it? I mean, yeah, essentially that is correct.
It is correct that we don't know, or it is correct that it was an assumption.
That was an assumption. Sorry.
I know that there's a lot of pieces still in play right now, but I also know the
Isn't there
Brotherhood
an-
is no ally of ours, nor of Kahir's. But there are other forces on this world that are taking the fight to the Brotherhood. And there is a possibility to stay on this world if Kahir were to desire to do so and fight the Brotherhood here. And if they are the same enemy, enemies destroyed in one place affect enemies in another place as well.
Well, if I might speak to this, my reason for suggesting sending her was twofold. One is right now she's the last surviving member of a group that the Brotherhood is set out to destroy. That means that while they are searching for her or him, that they are distracted. So if Kahir cannot be found, they will waste their times and their resources searching in vain. The second part is that Kahir has talents for stealth, poison, espionage, talents that may come in useful for rescuing Liren. If we ourselves cannot go to her aid, and as much as I perhaps more than anyone here, wish to go to her aid, I feel that these journals pose a bigger threat to the safety of this world and the Sanctum than one life is worth, even if that life is Liren.
Wouldn't it be
Now,
more-
go ahead, Garrett, sorry.
I mean, if we have someone who's so great at being sneaky, wouldn't it be better to bring the lad with us if we're about to go deal with the one-eyed beastie?
Well, yes, I'd also, hearing from this,
We've already got 7 people going after Liren. I don't know.
well, I
We might
agree.
need help.
That goes back to my first point that keeping Kahir with us paints even more of a target on our backs than what is already
Oh, we've already
on
got
there.
one.
Exactly. So why bring more attention to us?
And
If
Kahir,
They're already following us anyway.
has no
Yeah.
loyalty to
I
us.
don't feel like that one's going to make any difference.
Kahir is
You'll
interested in
fly
revenge.
on the recording, I swear.
Kahir is only interested in revenge and has no loyalty to us.
Aye, that's true.
So, in turn, I'll look at Kahir, I assume would have no interest in the Underlord.
It is true I have no interest in this underlord you seek. But if your enemy is the Brotherhood in this matter, then he is also mine. They are also mine, I should say. And I will ally with you in any endeavor to hurt them or destroy them or gain my vengeance upon them.
I think at this particular point it would do well to bring Riss into this conversation if we can.
Dial her up.
Do what, John? Couldn't hear you.
Yeah, dial her up.
I'll send a message to Rissa real quick. Apologies. Ran out of magic.
Ran out of minutes.
Right. We are at a slight impasse and could use your presence. We may have found help. Can you come? If so, how soon? Sorry, I had to count words there for a second.
All right. You sent the message.
I feel like all this is about to be
Real quick, because it's when you're sending across planes, it's a 5% chance it fails, right?
That is correct.
Okay, because I forgot this for last night. I'm going to say you rolled well, but for this one, go ahead and roll your d20, and you're fine as long as you don't get that one.
I got 11.
Okay,
11.
11!
Freedom!
Sorry, got excited.
So the sending goes through, and you receive a response back. No apology necessary. I can come, but for a brief time. I'll be there momentarily.
Oh, shite. She's coming.
I mean, that is what we wanted, eh?
It seems like a good thing, yes?
And I will just scooch back away from the table towards a wall.
Don't worry, Case of Tour has enough excitement for you, Auntie. It's all good.
There's a brief flash of almost purple light that comes in from the windows outside within the next couple of minutes. And then Rissa, you recognize her form as she comes in the door.
Oh, that's no fun. She normally comes, appears right in front of you. It's rather creepy.
I'm just imagining, like, the scene where the Terminator travels back through time.
Mm-hmm.
She gives a brief bow to Soren as he comes over. They have a brief conversation. She nods, and who's got a passive perception above 15? Okay. Y'all hear her saying, a drink would be lovely. Yes, thank you. That'd be quite delicious. Right over there with that group. Thank you. And she nods and comes and sits, pulls a chair over and sort of sinks herself less gracefully than you're used to seeing from her into the chair. And Val, you see this because this is especially rare for you to see her sort of discomposed, where she's got her, there's crow's feet at the corner of her eyes. She's showing her age a lot more than she typically does. And there's a sort of weight that's sort of almost pressing on her shoulders as she's sitting in the chair. And you can tell she is just tired.
Was it a long trip?
Longer than some, not as long as others. The way itself is not too difficult, but, well, without the stabilizing influence of the Sanctum, it's a little trickier to get exactly where we're wanting to go. Still not too bad, only 20 or so feet off.
Well, that was intended as a joke, but I'll still work on my sense of humor. How are things?
Well, hopeful, looking up for the first time in quite a while. You all look well, in good health, I'm pleased to see. We've been running a bit ragged, not quite enough of us to cover all the areas where we would have hoped, but our work has paid off. Well, we found her. I assume you're here to come with us.
Well, unfortunately, we are, as of now, of two minds of this. We have a few questions of how things may work that may help us make a decision here.
We've got too many quest routes.
All right. We've located the third book in the possession of one called the Underlord here, as I mentioned earlier. And we are of the after some research and after some questioning, we believe that this creature is an aberration. Would I think I asked this before, but maybe not. Would Val know the term beholder?
He would be familiar with it from
Okay.
legends and tales, and
Okay.
he would have learned at the Sanctum.
Fair enough. So we believe this creature may be a beholder. And as you well know, those are difficult at best. We still do not have the location of the fourth journal, but we have noticed that they are randomly opening rifts to other worlds and other planes. And the longer that they're here, the longer that they're out of our possession, the worse things are getting. We've encountered a group known as the Brotherhood who seems rather bent on finding these journals themselves, as well as other more questionable motives and goals.
We've noticed in the past months, it's not unusual for those in power to seek the journals for their arcane abilities. I will say, most who seek these things have some means of shielding them. So if you haven't started seeing denizens of various elemental planes and other worlds coming through, this Underlord is probably one of those, has some means of shield in it.
Quite possibly. And I'll pull up the little satchel with the two journals that we have. This is what Dawn was able to create with the aid of a clan of druids not far from here.
Aye, that to do it. And she looks it over and fine work. Good craftsmanship on this one.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Yeah.
Val, if you haven't found the fourth journal on this world yet, chances are it's in some powerful being's possession.
And while this is true, we have discovered that our pendants, and I'll pull out the tree pendant, and when synced with the journals, have basically become beacons for us. We're able to...
That you're on.
Yeah,
Traveling to a different world is gonna, you realize we'll cut that connection, you're gonna have to resync it on that plane.
Which is why I wouldn't... It's one of the reasons why I believe it would be best for our group to remain here and strike at the situation and from our end. That being said, and I'll point to Kahir, I would not send you away empty-handed. This is Kahir. You remember that I mentioned the group that attacked us
I remember.
the other day. This was their leader. However, their family was destroyed we believe, by the Brotherhood. They'll be looking for Kahir until Kahir is dead. If we send them with you, then we don't have to worry about the Brotherhood tracking Kahir with us, and it might also distract them, waste their resources, and take their attention away from us as we continue on our journey. Kahir is gifted in stealth, poisons, and other manners of espionage, and has agreed to join you if you will let them. Oh, also...
Krista sort of looks over at Kahir. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand the call of vengeance. It's like a knife in the heart. But I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the connection between the Brotherhood that hired you? Is attacking you? and the foe we seek.
We believe the Brotherhood to be in the service of Tiamat.
And as such, we've also, it's come to our understanding that the forces which attacked the Sanctum are also in the Queen's service.
Well, we have not received confirmation. There were the type of forces we were fighting. Wouldn't surprise me if they did serve the Queen of Dragons herself.
Madam.
Oh, and Rissa just puts her head in her hands and starts cursing up a storm.
Is that
Also-
drink here yet?
Doran
I'll
nods
wave the
and
bartender
frets.
over.
The Soren comes on over and sets the drink down on the table beside Rissa. Anything else I can get you, fine sirs?
I'll let you know. Rissa,
Sort of bows and heads out.
how many people are you able to take with you? And would you be able to bring us back once we freed Liren?
Currently we have myself and 7 others. 8 if Miss Kahir will accompany us. And certainly, as I brought myself, I could bring you.
He likes to be referred to as he right now.
Right now, that changes.
Oh, yes. I believe Kahir was referred to on my world as a changeling. Able to-
I will keep that in mind. Thank you, sir.
It's a
Yeah.
chic situation, y'all.
Larissa, you say that you could bring us all back.
I travel in the same paths as I walk. I'd only be able to do it once a day.
And could you get us to a specific location within the same accuracy as you did here?
Have you seen it? Have you
Yes.
been there? Can you describe it to me with enough accuracy that I can get you there safely without having you as a beacon to focus on?
I believe Howard and I have.
Something very specific. Where there's only one that I know of on this world.
Very well.
Didn't you, real quick, John, didn't you carve one at Dracula?
Yes, it was a different one. I've got 3 different ruins. When
Okay.
we leave, Dorn's armor will be off this world, so there would only be 1 left.
Okay, that was actually about to be my next question. I was like, but he's wearing the armor, so.
Also, I still need to know what that rune looks like, so we can start making fan art. And
I gotta send out a text of
when
those.
I do the Doran cosplay, I need to make sure it's accurate.
There you go.
I believe we can describe it fairly accurately, and as Howard said, he has carved a mark there that we can possibly hone in on.
Then I don't see why not. I'll take you to this location with this marking if you're able to describe it to me well enough.
Would we be going back to the Sanctum?
We could. If you wanted to leave today, then yes, I would need to travel through there.
Because if we were to drop off that which we have already collected, it might be safest there, or to our advantage.
I agree. So
we would need
Rissa,
to keep one with us
We
in
would
order
need
to
to keep-
return.
yes, one so we could maintain our directional beacon. When we leave the world, our pendants won't be attuned to that pinging in our head. Now, granted, we know where one is, and we are ideally on our return will be a short walk in and be able to reestablish that connection. We can discuss that. So our plan was the the lair in which we need access into is a 3-day journey from here. Our thought was if we could leave and in those 3 days conduct this rescue mission and then come back here, the time then would not be lost and we could essentially be in 2 places at once. Is the time frame for rescuing Liren, what does that look like? If we were to leave with you here today now, do you believe that you could put us at the entrance of this lair in 3 days' time?
We were planning to start making our way to the tower where she is held tonight. Traveling tonight, going through the tower and retrieving her tomorrow, and ideally having the entire thing be done and over with within the next 24 hours. Depending on the magics that are called for, I could very well have you there tomorrow evening or perhaps the day after at the latest.
I believe that is agreeable.
I don't think there's a question.
Okay, Sator, you have not shown your opinion yet.
I definitely was of the mind that if there was any way to aid in Liren's rescue, that is the course that I would like to have taken. And it sounds like this is the best of both worlds, that we can both aid in her rescue and be at the best of both worlds. Get to the behold.
Oh God!
Even less time than
I think I just took 12 points of psychic. Dadgum.
Right. Vicious mockery in action.
I heard John saying something. I thought he was commenting on it, so I just went for it. But do that and then still get to the beholder in even less time than if we were walking there.
I am all for this plan. I believe we should not waste time then.
To the Batmobile.
No, dude, you stole it from my brain. How did you do that?
We're linked,
Literally
man.
thinking that.
Like a mind
Here, are you still agreeable to this plan? I'm realizing now we may have made assumptions about the connections between that which you hunt and that which we do. Granted, I personally have a vendetta against the Brotherhood. But I still believe that the course in which we are about to take will target the organization.
I mean, no matter what, they hate us. They're going to come at us at some point, so if you stick with us, lad, you'll get to fight them.
If you would rather stay here, we do have friends who are enemies of the Brotherhood that we could put you in contact with.
I could give you a letter and put you in contact with those to target the Brotherhood specifically, if that is what you wish, or you can come with us now.
What you believe but have no confirmation of, I find the potential only. I weigh versus the actuality of those foes we know are here. And you'll forgive me, but this traveling between worlds is
Fun.
It's a bit much.
It is weird.
I confess I have difficulty believing you are not madmen.
We are, but we do speak true.
That explains much.
Matt is an
What's in connection with those here?
Are you familiar with Dragon Throne?
I am.
Do you believe you could make that journey? The main place, the main people, the main assault against the Brotherhood can be formulated there. I will put you in touch with a cleric that should be there named Sarai. Seek her out, tell her of your plight, and she should be able to set you to task.
Should we put Kahir in touch with the Edge, who are also foes of the Brotherhood that might be able to aid in safe passage to Dragon Throne?
I personally do not have the connection with them.
Sure.
But I agree with that. If you all want to work on that, I'm going to start writing out a letter, explaining who Kahir is essentially, and then that she can deliver to Sarai, validating her story.
Trying to kill us.
So validating that she is.
She was she then, so
wanting to, attack the Brotherhood, and that if there is any assaults against them, to include her, she is skilled. So I'm going to start writing out that letter that she can carry with her. If you wish to figure out how to get her in touch with the Edge, that is not my purview.
She then.
I assume that Halberd will take care of that. And Kahir, there is during your time in the city and even in your travel to Dragon Throne, I would task you with two pieces of information that would, I think, behoove you to garner any more detail that you can. Both the Alabaster Ruin, who is...
The one who wanted your friend.
Yes. That wanted him alive, yes. As you, I'm sure, realize as well, he is a very high-ranking official within their organization, and we ourselves encountered a man named Reuven, who was very rude. He's more like Rudin, and he had wings. What was the reason? There was something about. Do you have white wings?
Yes, I do. It is my belief.
He was a white dragonborn.
Ruin. He was not a white dragonborn. He was a white half dragon, and in the service to Tiamat. And so it is my belief that the Alabaster Ruin and the white half dragon Reuven are possibly one and the same.
White Alabaster makes sense. So
I'm surprised you didn't think of that with how clever you normally are.
I'm the one saying it.
I'm just the one who came up with it and informed you.
That was off stream. As far as it's my idea. I think he's.
I'll go back to my writing now.
They may be the same individual, and I think any information you could gather on him would be excellent. And anything on the compound, which is the name that they give their headquarters. We don't know if there could be multiple, or we do know for sure there's multiple.
We know that there is. We were able to find out.
It's
there is the main compound.
Yes.
But we do believe that they have many
outposts.
Smaller, outposts.
This is in here in White Brand. There is a faction of them, as there could be in I assume most of the cities on this world, which is written down somewhere. However, we believe that the main compound is between...
Outside of Cedar Grove, yes?
Between Cedar Grove and Stillwater? Or Cedar Grove...
That was the one that y'all passed, yeah.
Okay, yeah, then yeah.
Okay, so I don't know, so we know that there are other compounds, or we just know that they have, like, presence in cities and stuff?
We found out that there are...
Multiple compounds?
I think Outpost is the best. We heard reference to the compound.
Yeah.
Now we kind of made the assumption that it's the same.
Well, we know that they called that the compound because the guy that we passed.
Right, and everything we hear is essentially called the compound.
Right. So I will say we passed a compound, and it was referred to as such by a member of the Brotherhood. It's possible that they have other locations, and that may not even be the main one, but that is our belief. And then, of course, they have their presence in the various cities. But I believe, as the resistance is mounting in Dragon Throne, that it would eventually, at least, be a march to the compound there between Cedar Grove and Longview.
And you want me to find out more information on the compound or any outposts that they have And then on this alabaster ruin, Reuven, maybe the same person?
Yes.
This is the information we have.
To summarize it, two things: the alabaster ruin and the compound. The little bit of information that we have is that the alabaster ruin could be this Reuven that we encountered, who was, in fact, a white half-dragon that we fought and fled. And then on the compound, we did pass a compound that we believe to be their headquarters, and it is between Cedar Grove and Longview. So anything that you could find out more on those two things, who the alabaster ruin really is, and how high up he is, and any possible ways to get to him, as well as any possible ins to the compound, I think would be most beneficial.
That is what we know about the Brotherhood. Granted, with your skills, and you may find out more information, but that is everything we are aware of. It's the best we can do to equip you with whatever you might encounter.
And if I find more information that I think it's beneficial for you to know, how am I to get it to you?
This information can benefit the resistance that is mounting in Dragonthrone. You can tell Sarai, who Soyex is writing you a letter to put you in touch with.
Sarai will contact us with any information that increases this.
So while everyone is talking, I'd like to be looking around and just see if I realize or recognize, is Torek around at all? Because I know he was going to be the one I was going to be in contact with for the edge.
Make a perception check.
I thought you meant Tyrek at first, and I was like...
19.
19.
We're totally gonna fight that beholder
There
today.
have been several people coming in and out from the street and then from the halls behind leading to the other rooms of the establishment. There is a male halfling that has been seated at the bar off to the side, out of the way, just sort of keeping an eye on things. This is Torek, who's just has seen you in discussion with some others and has not interrupted.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
I want to start looking over the rubric that I currently do have.
All right.
Oh.
The one that Aiden gave you last night.
Yes, the armory one that Aiden Versio gave me. I probably shouldn't say that name. That's copyrighted. Excuse me.
Okay. Pull my papers up here.
I was gonna do it last night, but then I didn't. We were too busy trying to actually do something. We were trying to actually go do a thing today, and then we talked.
we should have known better.
I told y'all.
Hey, we tried. Lauren distracted us.
Lauren's like the person with the cat and a laser pointer. We're the cat.
Yeah.
She's got a laser pointer shotgun is what she has.
Right?
But there are so many
Sounds
lasers.
like a plan.
Which one do I want to follow?
Okay. So, Doran, I need you to roll
Oh, gosh.
an Arcana check.
That's just mean.
Hey, at least it's not negative, right?
No, it's
Yeah.
-1, homie.
Oh, is it?
Could you inspire him?
Insult to
Hey.
injury.
He's doing this while we're talking.
Yeah.
That turns out to a 12.
I'll inspire him as I'm
12
talking.
was exactly what you needed.
Dang.
I
Victories.
did it.
So for this, what you can see is Aiden was not super clear on the purpose of what these are, but this is a rubric for what's called a runestone, and it's written Summon Dwarvish, Summon Giant, actually. And
Which I can read.
the various languages are describing a crystal that is carved with various arcane runes and sigils to imbue a weapon or a piece of armor with a certain property. It's like an alternative to enchanting. for those who are not magically inclined necessarily, but who have some of this background with the runes and the craftsmanship there. So to create these crystals, these runes, you need various gemstones of different qualities depending on the rarity level, essentially, of the rune. The one that you got is described as the rune of the alchemist, and apparently it's relatively common because it's a buff for healing. When this rune is imbued and connected to a piece of armor, anyone who drinks a healing potion gets an extra 2 hit points when per level of potion. So like if they drink a common healing potion, they'll get an extra 2. A greater healing potion, they'll get an extra 4. A what's next? Superior would get
so whatever,
an extra 6.
essentially whatever the 2d4 plus X, that X is doubled.
Not doubled,
Plus 2.
but plus 2. 2d4 plus X plus 2.
Okay. Because like commons are 2d4 plus 2, regulars are 2d or 4d4 plus 4,
Plus 2.
and then the raiders or the great or whatever are 8d4.
Superior and then supreme.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 2d4 plus 2 plus 2. 44 plus 4 plus 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're always getting 2.
You always get.
Is this only potions? It doesn't affect spells?
This is just potions, not spells.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understand the rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many of
as far
those
as
enchantments
using
could you
runestone,
put?
They stack.
I'm sorry?
we're about to go into that. As far as using runestones, it has to be affixed to a piece of equipment with the runic tag. A creature must be attuned to the item to gain the benefit. A maximum of 1 runestone can be affixed to 1 piece of equipment at a time. A
So you have to
runestone
have
can be
material
removed, but is destroyed in the process. So what?
Of course.
It takes it 2.
So I have to have enough materia slots.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
But wait, so it sounds like he could do it on something for somebody else.
Yes.
It's just you have to have an attunement slot, is what it sounds like.
But no, it said it had to be on something that is attuned to you. So what if you took like a ring of Featherfall and inscribed a rune on the ring?
Mm-hmm.
It's on an item that's attuned to you.
Or does it take a separate attunement slot?
I will look into that.
I can
I'm
make
gonna
any
double
right
up.
now.
I want
Because,
to
like-
on all of my attunement.
I want to make 1 billion of them, but we don't.
Because
got
I don't have anything that's really attuned to me, so that means it wouldn't really help me. But if it
I got
takes
the Bloodstone in it.
if it takes
but
its
that's-
own attunement slot, then I could, because
Well, you could still put it on something and attune it to you, though.
Here's what it is. The item that it's on is a magical item, and to use the benefit of it, you have to attune to it.
okay.
So it's not that you put it on an already magical item, it's that it makes the item it's on magical.
Now, what if you put it on an already magical item?
Yeah.
That I will look into. I've got my 8 or so pages here
Sweet.
to go through.
Oh no.
So I'm going to jump real
Most
fast.
of it is the various types of runes and things because it's just exciting.
So
This is awesome.
jumping in real fast.
Yes.
We have the ability to pause. So we're out of dialogue for the moment. Can we pause, get food, restroom, stretch legs, come back?
We only have another half hour or so left of gameplay. I'm going to cut it between 4 and 4:15. So if y'all want to go ahead and pause, we can do that and then just come back for the tail end here. Or we
Joe,
can
we
power
keep going if you need it.
Yep, I'm going to bail.
We'll keep rolling. John's gonna step out.
Toodles.
All right, you going to be back or?
Yeah. He's gonna be back.
Good deal. So I'll go ahead and keep sort of describing the runestones, and then we can cut this and edit this if we need to when he gets back. Or, just leave it going on while I'm rambling. That is fine too. Did you have any other questions about the runestones and actual use thereof, Garrett?
Can it only be one stone? Like, I imagine if I made 2 of these Healy ones, I couldn't attach both of them to a thing. But can more than one thing go on an item? Like if I
Can
had
they
a sword, yeah. Can I put like fire enchantment and Healy enchantment on the same item, for example?
No. 1 runestone per piece of equipment.
Okay.
However, you can have 3 pieces of equipment that all have runestones all attuned to you at the same time. You'll just have the different effects there.
It's like having 3 attuned items anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay. I only have 1, so yay. And it's the luck rock of luckiness.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Because if you happen to find any already created runestones in the wild, you never know where they may pop up. Just a heads up, you get the feeling that because they imbue with magic, they would be detectable by a spell designed to do that, or also perhaps identified in the same way.
So just, locate magic or detect magic just everywhere. Look for the shiny rock. Cool.
So, I do believe that we can. Have we? Kahir, what is he doing right now?
Kahir is sitting at the table, sort of just watching y'all, listening, learning, sort of logging all the things in his head to try and remember about the Brotherhood and Reuven versus the Alabaster Ruin and heading to Dragenthrone to Sarai.
Okay, I will.
Kahir does not look to be like a huge fan of heading back south, especially to the southernmost part of this continent, but
sure.
is willing to do that anyway.
I will hand Kahir my letter, and inform him of what Sarai looks like and where he would be most likely to find her in Dragenthrone. No, however, do you have a way of connecting Kahir to the edge?
Yes, I think I do. But from what I understand, Edge is very active up here. I don't know if they're as active down south, but
I mean, if Kahir wishes to stay here with the edge and attack the Brotherhood here, by all means. I would just like to equip Kahir with whatever he might need, be it if he chooses to go south or stay here. He's attacking our foe, and I would like to keep him well equipped.
I'll go stand up and walk over to the bar where Torque is.
You head on over. Torque motions for Soren to bring you a drink. Whatever you were having earlier.
I wasn't.
Soren brings it over and sets it in front of you and starts cleaning up over at the other side of the bar and working and getting things going for the day.
I do believe we're going to be heading out here soon. Need drives us in a different direction for a time to enable us to come back and go address the Underlord.
Do you have an answer for Eska then? Will you help our people?
We are going to do our very best to help your people. We don't know if we're coming back from this quest, but you will know within a few days if we succeed or fail. But we haven't forgotten about you.
Our hopes
I do
go.
have. Go ahead. I don't know if you'd be interested. I'm going to motion to Kahir. That one has no love for the Brotherhood. Destroyed his entire family. Then he's looking for a way to take the fight to them. I don't know if you'd be interested in having someone join your ranks, but I do believe That would be a good reason to pull them alongside, or at least know about each other's presence. Because you all share a common enemy in that you have no love for the Brotherhood. And right now I think he feels very much an outcast.
Torek sort of looks over at Kahir and subtly sort of eyes him up and down. There's a lot of anger in that one. Still, you may be right. He may find a place among us. And it is true, we have no love for the Brotherhood.
You have to be careful about anger. Because there's much anger in the edge too, but rightly noted. And it's just anger.
We will do what we can. If nothing else, the favor owed is always to our benefit.
Well, if you'd like to come on over, I can introduce the two of you. If you'd like to remain anonymous, we can do that too.
No, I'll come say hi. Perhaps you can introduce me to that lovely lady who's joined your table.
I don't think that one's going to happen, friend.
Oh, it's worth a shot.
I
You never know, I can be very charming.
I'm not going to argue that, but I don't know if I care to see it.
So you and Torek head on back to the table.
Mm-hmm. Kahir, mind Torek. He's with an organization that has no love for the Brotherhood. And while we go about our ways, if you remain on this world, it would probably be beneficial for you two to be aware of each other, if not even join together. Torek, this is Kahir. Kahir, this is Torek. You'll be best friends now.
The pleasure to meet you. And you as well, small one. You move as one familiar with the shadows. I do my part. It's true we have no love for the Brotherhood. Perhaps we'll get along just fine then. And so they sort of nod at each other, a recognition of the strengths the others have. Rissa at this point pushes her hair out of her face, finishes her drink. Is there any more discussion to be had?
No. I believe time is of the essence, and I'd be all for leaving now.
Agreed.
Very well. I imagine you will want to gather your arms and armor and complete any final tasks you have in this town. Shall we plan on meeting in half an hour and set out at that point?
I think that works. Shouldn't be too long here.
Very well then. If you will, I will rest and prepare for the journey, and I'll see you in half an hour.
Walk up to Kahir and pull out the vicious dagger. Hand it over to him. Just slide it kind of discreetly. The enemy of my enemy. I'm very sorry for your loss. I do understand that pain. Take care of yourself and don't be rash. You do much better work alive than dead.
I will avenge my family, and one day I pray I will join them.
But when the time's right, don't rush the timing.
Not before my vengeance is complete.
Put my hand on his shoulder and walk to my room.
Casator,
SUVX.
I've been carrying around this deck. I thought I might think of some clever way to use it, but to be honest, I always forget I have it, and I have yet to use it. It's more of an arcane nature, and perhaps you might be better suited for it. I don't know what we're about to encounter, but this might aid you. And I will hand him the deck of illusions. I'll shoot you a picture of this, and then I'll let you know what cards are in there so you can form your own deck. But
if you want to let him know what cards are in there, I'll go ahead and I'll email him the actual magic item description. I've got that.
Okay. Well, there's a lot here, so I'm going to type it up and then send it to him because there's a lot of cards here. So, if you'll send that to him, then cool. But you have that. And until you get that, tell me to throw a card and I'll pull one for you. So, well then, I don't believe there's anything else that I need to prepare. I need to go get Lyrian. This should be interesting.
Solyax, make a perception check for me.
Oh dear.
What did you do?
Another one.
10.
10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you're preparing and arming up and getting your armor set for the day, you notice that pesky rust is still on that shield.
Mm-hmm.
Can't quite get it off yet.
Oh, of course it is.
Hey, Lauren.
Yes.
So words are hard. I know I understand the basics of making these stones now, but do I understand the actual making them process?
You understand the process?
Yeah.
Essentially, you'll need to use the tools to carve the runestone.
Okay.
I'll have you roll your d20, and you'll add your proficiency bonus, plus either your dexterity or your intelligence for the crafting, and that'll be up to you.
Okay.
Once it is engraved successfully, the gemstone sort of becomes a runestone. It takes on the properties that you are imbuing it with, and then it can be attached to a weapon or a suit of armor or something like that.
Okay. Do I know what gems I need?
You know
The
that
one that I have?
for the one that you have, you just need a common gemstone. You get the idea that some of the more uncommon ones, the rare or the legendary, very hard to find, like masterwork runestones, will require perhaps a specific gem. But the one that you have now, you just need a gemstone worth 10 gold. That's all it takes.
Well, shoot. Let's see what they're.
You get the idea that this is a sort of beginner level, entry level sort of item that you have the rubric for now.
Yeah.
I'm realizing we haven't seen Rai this morning. I guess she left early, as she said she was going to do.
About that, yes, it would appear that she did leave. She left a letter and a few things, just letting us know that she was incomplete in her mission at this point, and her superiors were, I suppose, a little antsy, and so she was moving on to finish her quest and return to the library. She left me a few pages of her notebook to communicate with her with. So her cousin was doing some searching and research for me on Vondera to aid in the search for my sister. So this will keep us in communication with her specifically for that, to that end, and in general, if there's anything we need or wish to communicate. She said she did not know what aid the library could or would be in our ventures, but there's always a door open to us to pursue if we find ourselves in a tight spot. She also left this Doran for you. I'll hand him the rolled up parchment. She mentioned an arcane rubric for a specific spell that I may help imbue a piece of clothing for you. So I believe that's what it may be, but it may be more.
Fantastic. Apparently I'm getting all kinds of items as of late.
Doesn't seem.
Yes, which, as it were, I think I might be making a quick shopping trip. So if you have no further need of me, gentlemen, I've got something to go do.
Oh, well, where are you going? Do this quickly.
I'm going to see if I can find some cheap gems if I can go get some.
Just regular gems?
Apparently. I just need something worth, I don't know, about 10 gold or so.
So a gem like this? And I'll pull out one of the gems in my bag of gems.
Which I knew you had, but I don't think the dwarf knew, so that's what I was, yeah.
So you pull out a pretty good sized quartz. Fairly decent quality, but there's a slight flaw that runs up the side and would not be, it's not suitable for carving, but it is worth at least 10 gold. So that's definitely one that you could use.
Oh, perfect. Here. Do you use gems a lot for things?
Not normally, but, and then I'd start showing him the thing and, like, if I can figure this out and carve the right patterns in this.
Here's a bag of 250 golds worth of gems.
Yes. Yeah.
I have no need for these. Perhaps you can use them.
Are they all just like cheapo gems?
We took all the diamonds out. There was no diamonds, so we can't use them for what we need to use them. There is no pearls. They are just random things, just like quartz, sapphires, rubies.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's 250 golds worth of gems.
So the most expensive one in there is probably worth about 50 gold. Most of them run to like 10 to 20.
Cool. The inventory paper, where are you?
Right. That is yours now. I'm just giving everything away today.
Oh wow! I forgot. I got this.
You get an item, and you get an item. Everybody gets items.
I do. I collect a lot, and then I'll just be like, all right, and it's Christmas. You get something, and you get something. Although what I have a lot of collected of is a bunch of weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good ones, just a bunch of weapons.
Were we ever gonna sell those and get some cash?
Well,
or I could keep them.
Or, you could imbue them with, you could enchant them or put some sort of magic on them to make them.
Right.
Look, you never know when you're going to need 3 short swords and some random leather armor.
Or mimic goo.
Mimic? Oh, right.
Forgot about that.
You never know. I look forward to seeing what y'all throw at me with that. It'll be some sort of glue, some sort of bonding agent, perhaps. I don't know. You'll get creative, I'm sure.
We could have glued the beholder's eyes shut.
Glue bomb.
Oh, that actually wouldn't have been
y'all
bad.
will get creative, I'm sure. By about this time, y'all have gotten your supplies together. It's right about the time you said you would meet Rissa.
Excellent. Well, I guess we're leaving now.
Apparently.
All right. You look around at this point, you realize that Kahir and Torek have headed out. Halberd, as you head outside to meet Rissa, you see...
You're never going to let that go.
It hurts.
You see Torek sort of standing off to the side in the shadows, making himself known and available if there's any last thing that you need. Kahir's already gone.
I'm going to motion that I see him. I'm going to give a salute. And then do that very discreetly. It's not something very overt. And then I'll follow Rissa.
Right, not calling attention to it, but a subtle acknowledgement. Make a perception check for me.
19.
19. Just on the edge of your hearing, very quietly, you hear a low whistle from Torek, and it's one of those signals used to mean sort of a goodbye and good luck, a well-wishing, and it's the connotation for it is not necessarily close friends, but allies. When multiple groups would come together to accomplish the same task, this is the sort of thing that would be signaled as they split off with an intent to each accomplish their own thing and then come back together once their goals are complete. And so that is the sort of well wish that he gives you.
Can I return it?
You can.
Sweet. I shall.
All right. As you give the signal,
I don't know.
he sends you a nod and then disappears down a side street into the shadows.
Well, with us, shall we away?
Let's be rid of these books.
Very well.
We're going to the Sanctum, yes?
Not directly. I've expended my most powerful magics for the day. We'll take an indirect route, and it'll take only slightly longer.
Very well.
Very well. Let us go. And so she guides you around a corner where you can see that the arcane sigils have been on the ground with a piece of chalk just sort of scrawled out in a relatively circular fashion that she has prepared. And she goes and she warns you, very well, we'll have only a short time for all of us to make it through the circle here. Are there any last things that you need to accomplish?
Shall return. Ready to go.
Very well. Let us go.
Let's go.
And so she finishes the teleportation circle. She inscribes the sigils into it. A silvery blue light flares from the ground, and she steps into the circle and disappears.
And we go. We follow.
Yeah, following after.
Is this in the town?
Very quickly, y'all rush through. You find yourselves in a well-lit, lavishly decorated basement area. There's a side area for storage, but there's also a sort of lounge area, relaxing. There are a couple of very colorfully decorated women that are seated on some of these cushions and around the room.
Did we land on a circle?
You landed on a circle.
Christopher, is this something you could study for later use? I know you had mentioned with the Master Corian about circles of this nature.
I believe with my knowledge of what I have studied with Master Corvian that I could probably sketch this down and possibly make use of it later.
If you would like to learn the sigils for the Dreamer's Pool in Cedar Grove, you can go ahead and take just a few moments to sort of inscribe it and write it down. You can't use it just yet, but you'll be able to if you take Teleportation Circle at a later date.
Sure.
So you take a little bit of time to do that. Rissa recovers, and you can see the casting is taxing on her. You get the sense that these high-powered magics take a lot out of her. She says, Rillian will assist me in opening the doorway through the sanctum here. We must move quickly. We will not tarry there long. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Rillian, the half-orc proprietress of the Dreamer's Pool, smiles a greeting at you and leads you down the hall and into another room. And as you pass into this room, who is proficient in Arcana? Who's sensitive to magical energies?
I am.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, me.
Okay, so Val and then Kazator, was that also you? Yes?
I
So
hope so.
as you enter this room, feel this wash of magical energy over you. This is a heavily warded room, very well protected. You get the sense that without being led in here, you would not be able to enter and may not even be able to find the place. So you come into this room, this heavily magicked room, and there is a bare room before you, except for a single
bear
door.
room. A room full of bears?
Many bears. All the bears. They just grr
Are
and
we
are.
feeling rather brave right now?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Gummy.
Fight with my bare hands!
Highly empty room. There is a set into the floor. There is a mosaic pattern of various colored glasses and pebbles and rocks of various things that create the symbol of the sanctum, bound together and encircled by a silver wire. And freestanding in this, in the center of the tree, is a door. There's nothing on either side, just a single door. And you notice that the wood of the door is old wood. It is aged, it is gray, it looks like it has not been well maintained. Like, if a door could look sick, this door is looking rough. Y'all go, and Rissa looks over at you one more time. In and out. Hi.
In and out.
Drop
My
the
insight
books.
check, Rissa.
I'm not that hungry.
All right, make an insight check.
Possibly after leaving.
I'm gonna take these two before
You're gonna kill us all.
That sounds about right. For our luck.
Hmm?
All right, next episode, everybody draw new characters.
So Kazator, you see Rissa sort of steals herself. Like, this is a great task that she is about to undertake. There is a sort of both a steadfastness and a reluctance at the same time, where it's like she's going to do something that she knows is not necessarily going to be fun, but she's going to do it anyway as she prepares to lead y'all in. She goes ahead, she puts her hand on her pendant, which is on a necklace hanging around her neck, and then puts her hand on the door. And those of y'all with passive perception above 15 see this spark, almost of electricity. Like when you get that static electricity and in the dark, and you can see it leap just that little bit. And you can see Rissa's hand tense and tighten on the door as she's preparing to open it. And it's almost like it's to fight. And you see the knuckles on her hand holding the pendant start to clench and grow white. And then she opens the door, keeps her hand on it, gestures for y'all to go through.
We all go through.
Right. Y'all head through. And as you pass, everyone at this point can feel this this weight, almost, this tension in your pendants as you step through the door and into the sanctum. And it does not look the same as what you're used to. You come into a bare stone room, much smaller, darkly lit. There's a scent of must and dust and decay. Almost like you flip over a rotting log in the wood, and you get the sensation that creepy crawly down your back, like when you see all the bugs start to scurry out of the way, like little roaches and millipedes and roly-polies and just these things that kind of, yeah. So as you're going through and Rissa steps through, she swings the door closed behind you, grabs it open, yanks it again, pulling towards her, and gestures for y'all to come on out. And you step through the door into a brightly lit room, and that is where we'll go ahead and we'll stop the session for the day as y'all are emerging from the sanctum itself, taking your first breath of a new world.
A whole
That
new
dark area is
world.
the crystal sanctum.
We've been streaming all this time, and now we've gone to a new world.
Oh,
And if you got to roll a dice today.
That's what I was thinking.
do what?
I said, raise your hand if you actually got to roll a dice today. It's half the reason I insight checked, so I could roll a dice.
Yeah.
I want to keep. It's only 4:15. I want to keep going.
I mean, we can keep going for another 15, 20 minutes if y'all want before we sign out.
Yeah, we can. Curious.
To that
The
audience.
impression that you just gave, is that all there is to the Sanctum?
It's all you've seen.
But the whole vibe we got was dark and like sort of devoid of life.
I will say this. Y'all stepped into an empty stone room that smelled of dark, musty decay. You did not see anything in the room. You did not see any doors leading out of the room. There were no passages. There were no
place to
lights.
drop our books.
Not that you saw, no.
I don't want to carry these books with us. It's not bueno.
Yeah.
We should have left them
All right,
outside.
so we're keeping the box and the books.
Yeah, no, unless Rissa was like, here's the podium, but I have a feeling that that thing's not coming awake without really, the Sanctum's not waking up without a partner.
Yeah.
So just because, especially since we're going back to the other world, definitely want to keep the books.
See, my thought is those books are important for the Sanctum, and if it's this bad, they might be able to help start healing.
Yes,
because
but at the
we're
same
not,
time,
they're not safe with us.
Well, they're shielded at the moment, so they're as safe as they would be.
But they're not providing any benefit to the Sanctum. And if we die, fantastic. All it takes is, oh no, books. And now
True,
it's no
but
longer safe or shielded.
Rissa can at least find them. Once we go back to Celiax's world, if we leave the books, then we're
know where
creek.
the other one is.
We know where one is,
Ejected
and
them.
assuming it doesn't move.
There's a reason the Sanctum ejected the books, because they were vulnerable there.
Yeah.
I
If
forgot.
anything, we could have left them with the keeper. Oh well, we have them now on
I was
New
saying,
World.
I like having the portal making ability.
What's the name of this new world?
Yeah, wherever he is.
Val,
Agrabah?
you got the message. Do you remember what it's called?
Nope.
All right, I'll give this one to y'all as a freebie. This world is Chrysora.
Chrysora.
I would have asked Krista, what world is this? Because I'm not familiar.
How does one spell
And
this?
she didn't send it to me, so I wasn't there for that conversation.
Krezora. Chrysora.
Empire Zora, like, oh, except,
Oh man, this is a good session. We got to talk to people. We get to have fun.
It was not the session I was prepared for.
It was totally not.
but it's better.
Yeah.
I definitely said we weren't going to get the Beholder today. I did not think we were going to be leaving. So
Right. Oh, and Garrett, aren't you gone next week?
Yeah?
Ooh.
Oh,
Going out of town.
brother.
You're gonna be gone for the tower fight.
If we make it there.
Well, no, you assume we're actually going to get to a fight. She's going to throw another 45 quests at us. You really think we're going to ever fight a thing?
That's funny.
Celiax, how many battle maps did I take over there today?
There are 8.
8. There were 8 potential combat encounters y'all could have taken. I was prepared for it.
And
But no.
somehow,
Y'all decided to talk
We did none of that.
and roleplay, and I'm okay with that.
And Ryan's
It was
like,
a
yo,
good
I'm just looking for a fight.
In the
Actively
road
avoid them.
times of the Skype call, internet streaminess, we fought like 2 things. What is
Starting's
life?
not as fun online.
Well, I guess, Lauren, you want to sign us off then?
Let's go ahead and do that. So for everybody who tuned in, thank you for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did, because I don't know about y'all, but I had a lot of fun.
What?
Please come back next week. We stream every Saturday here at 2 p.m. on twitch.tv/thekeeprpg. And you can find our YouTube also at The Keep RPG. Our VODs go up every Tuesday, so you should definitely check those out. We hope to see you here next week. Thank you for coming along on our
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.